Good morning everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. And as you can see, I've got my lovely grey mat down today. This is a very large scruffy mat that I got from Amazon, and I think it was a couple of years ago now, and I think at the time it was like 3 large mats for $9. May have changed, I don't know. If I can find them, I will link them below. Right, so all of those stamps yesterday, and there was a kind of mixed reception to them, and I do totally understand that, because you know, sort of altered art, mixed media, stuff like that is not for everyone, and this particular launch of stamps is quite mixed media. Now, I'm somebody who loves everything, so you know, stuff like that doesn't offend or bother me. But I can tell you that Eiffel store, who has opened another store called Unicorn, and Lawn Unicorn rather, and from that store he intends to design and do stamps. So that's why, you know, if anyone's a little bit confused, Eiffel store is for the dies, and then that other store that's also linked below will be for his stamps. Right, so we looked at them all yesterday, and these are the 3 that I've decided to go with. I was intrigued by the faces. Yes, I was. I really like that one because it's got lots of, you know, individual little bitty bobs. And I do like the idea of Once Upon a Time in a land far, far away. And the other one that fascinated me was the border stamp. And I quite like that, you know, it says, what does that say? Fringe trim, frontier, edge rim. Frame boundary, margin line. Now, I don't know where they get that from. I'm sure it's for something to do with printing or something. But it's the kind of thing that would look really cool if you were doing a Polaroid frame and having that, you know, stamped at the bottom, doing a vintage one. And one of the things that I really love to do with vintage stamps, because we don't really get chance to talk vintage because I make so many other things, you know, from ordinary to cute, so to speak. And that is that one of the things I like to do is to use my ticket dies and also you know, film strip dies, and I use acetate, and then I like to use black StazOn ink and just smear it all over, and then use stamps to remove some of that ink, so that what you get left with is something that quite literally looks like celluloid film. And then you can go onto the back of it and you can colour it with alcohol ink, so that you get in sort of like really rich sepia tones, and then you end up with something that looks quite authentic, if you know what I mean. So anyway, that's just me rambling off on a tangent. So to save time, I did go off and I stamped these, and I did them in the way that I described to you. So I cut a sheet of cardstock, and then I stamped my stamp, then I fussy cut, and that's what I ended up with. Now, you really do have to excuse my throat today, and I may even pause and vanish to go and drink some water. But I use my Derwent pencils. I've got various sort of like Inktense, watercolour and solid pencils, and that's how I did that, because when you're looking at small elements, it's a lot easier to go in with a pencil or a marker or a watercolour pencil and be able to colour them in, then use a watercolour brush and blend them out. So that's basically what I did with this stamp. Now I want to turn it into a panel that will go on a planner page, and I figured we'd do all planner pages this week. So I have cut several, and if I can find the die set, which comes with all tickets and labels and tabs and all sorts, it's a great set, then I will also link that below. But we're going to just do one today, so I'm going to move these out of the way. And also I've got strips. I'm using all Walmart watercolour cardstock today because I love it. And I had some scraps, so I cut strips, because it's always great to use stamps like that to make your own washi tape. And I don't mind using any kind of cardstock to make washi tape. And I also cut a few different tabs. So I'm just going to move those out of the way because we're concentrating on this bit. Now I've already, you know, sort of like coloured that in because I thought that would take a long time and not wanting to take up anybody's time. So I want to put that basically down onto the bottom like a panel, which means I'm going to decorate and then I'm going to stick this on top, but I also need to colour inside of here. So I've got all of my ink tubes out today and I've got my pinks, so I've got like Kitsch Flamingo that I want to use, and this is how I store them. And if you can't be bothered to look at the names you put on, just spin your tube and then you can just see which colour, you know, that you really want to work with. It's just a very easy way of colour managing everything. Now I want to use Salty Ocean, and that's down on that one. And of course with these tubes you can have them big like I've got that one, or you can just halve them and put them on your shelf. But obviously the taller you stack, the more you're going to fit on your shelf. So I'm going to go in here with some Salty Ocean, and I'm going to move my other stuff out of the way, and I've got to hope and pray that nothing's going to fall all over the place. Right, so I'm using oxide because I figured a solid against that is going to look quite nice. And I'm also going to move my stamps for a little while. Right, so those are out of the way, and I want to, because this is going to be like an open flap on the bottom of my page, I need to ink all of it, and I need to put that on, don't I, before I start blending. Yeah, mixed media first thing in the morning, who would have thought? Well, I like to hold my ink blending tool like this, not by the handle. And the reason for that is because I think eventually your handle might give way, and we just don't want to do that. And also because it's just easier for my hand to hold it that way, and I just think I'll get a better blend. So you can see I'm just colouring in the back of my cardstock here, and if a little bit of it goes onto where you've already worked, just don't worry about it. Right, I'm going to carry on doing this blue exactly as you see, and I'll be right back. Right, so I've done all that, and as you can see I've made it solid Salty Ocean. So that is what I've got at the moment. Now this is still very damp, and as I said, you know, there's a lot of humidity in my room. So the next thing I want to do is work on the back, which is where the pocket's going to go. And just to prove the humidity, this is 300 GSM paper. Can you see the wave in that? I mean, it will go flat eventually, but it's just so annoying. Right, so what am I going to do? I'm going to do some ink blending for the back of that. And I want to use similar colours to what I used for colouring the faces. So first of all, I think going to go down with, yeah, I'm going to go down with Salty Ocean. So if you've never done this before, you can just, if you've got your silicone mat down, just dab some ink. I'll just grab my spray bottle here, just a cheap bottle from Walmart, a couple of dollars, and I'm just going to put some water on it, just to make that puddle up. And then I'm going to get my planner page, and I'm going to go wherever I want to. Don't worry about getting it on the back, because you've got to do the back as well. And I want it quite watery. I don't want it as harsh as the blue looks on the panel. So when you've got like your colours in like that, I'm just reaching around me here. I've got my heat tool. This is ancient. I mean, look at it. It's utterly destroyed. It's an original Ranger heat gun. So that's what I'm working with. And I am just going to dry this, and I'll be right back. Right, so I've done that, and this is what I've ended up with when it's dry. And the next thing that I want to do is bring this back and give it a spray. So using my same bottle again, I'm just moistening that up just a little bit, and I'm going to get a clean piece of kitchen paper, and I'm just going to press down. You see all that ink coming through, and lift. So when you've got stamps like this, it's all about relaxing and having fun. Right, now that I've done that bit, I can put that over here again to dry. I'm going to bring the page back in, and this time I'm using Kitsch Flamingo, and I'm just going to, let's get rid of that bit first. I'm just going to squeeze this down. Oh, quite a bit of that actually. And move that out of the way. Same thing again, in with your water, make some puddles. And just dab. See, now we've got some pink going on. So I'm building it. You have to remember as well that that pocket is going to cover quite a lot of this. So, you know, when you get drips and drabs that you enjoy, there we go, we're going a bit lilac, just go with it. Right, I'm going to dry that and I will be back. Right, so I've done that, and the next colour I want to use is Carved Pumpkin, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing and I will be back. Right, so I finished inking and I'm putting it that way around, and that's what you've got. Now, when you do a lot of wet inking and a lot of drying, you will find you'll get some warp in your paper, but it does go flat over time. So those are my little drips, and those are the colours that I've chosen for my planner page. Now to go next, I'm going to use this stamp, this border stamp, and as I was saying before, you know, that would just look gorgeous stamped at the bottom of a Polaroid frame. I'm using my Distress Archival Black because it is the blackest ink actually, and if you test it against all your others, you'll actually see that. So I want to use the slim borders, so I'm just peeling off the pack here, and I am going to be back all the way until Thursday doing these kinds of techniques, and then there's something else planned for Friday. So I'm using this big print border, just peeled that one off, and I'm going to get this into here. Now, you know, I have problems. Yes, I do. Who doesn't? Right, and I'm just putting that in my stamp platform. I'm trying to slide it along so that you can see. Right, because the last thing I want to do is bash my camera. So I think I've got plenty of space there. And I want to position this off the edge of my area where I've got holes, because you can put your rings on there that actually support the holes that you've got in your planner page. Now, as you can see, it's not straight. Now I'm going to get my magnet. I'm just going to pause. Right, so I've stuck my magnet there to hold my paper down, and obviously to pick up that stamp, and I just need to grab the lid off of my ink and apply some on that stamp. And it reminds me actually that I need to get myself a re-inker. I've got re-inkers for all kinds of things, and I haven't bought any for years, truth be told. I don't even know if the Distress re-inkers come in the same bottles. They probably do. Mine are all in amber glass, like a teak pipette, and I don't know if they're still like that. So I'm going along here with that script edge, and let's see what we've got. Right, now there are areas, of course, where you have to do your CPR. I've actually got my edge here, which doesn't help because there is a frame on the inside of this platform that sometimes can stop your stamps from stamping. Right, so I'm going to go with that there. So I've got that bit down. Hope you can see that. And then I'm just going to spin it around because I want to put the other border stamp at the bottom. So slot that into there, make sure it's level, and remove this one. Just going to shut that lid for a second. Got my other stamp, which is like a floral scroll design on this one, and I'm going to go here. Now you may or may not see this actually, and as I'm going close to the bottom, I'm thinking I'm going to come quite high up because you're not going to see it with that flap that I'm going to put on there. So I'm going right off the edge there. Now can you see this border? This can sometimes affect your stamping, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. I've got my ink. And give that a press. Yeah. See, having that border there affects it. I'm just going to put a little bit more ink on. And hopefully I'm going to get it in the places that I missed. I'm going to go all the way up there. And I think they're probably likely to be quite lengthy videos this week. I mean, there's an area here on the stamp where I keep missing my ink, and I don't know why I'm doing that. Unless it's a distressed area. Yeah, it is. Silly me. It's actually worn away and distressed on that area of the border. So that's not the stamp being faulty. It's just distressed there. Right, so I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to move my platform out of the way, because for the rest of it I should be able to use my stamp block. So just looking around my desk for that, and that was one of my tubes that just hit the floor. And I've got that, and I've also got some black soot, and I've also got that, which is what I need for some blending. Right, I think I'm organised. So the next stamp set that I want to use is this one, and because it's like two faces, I want to get a load of kisses in that area there, and it's a really small stamp, so let's peel that open and have a look. I'm going to get that down on my stamp block. Just move my blender just for a second. I mean, believe it or not, I actually work within a kind of 24 by 24 inch space on my table, so I kind of try to fit everything in. And I can just do random stamping with this. And as I say, I kind of wanted to see the kisses, so I need to go sort of central in that area. I'll go there. And all I'm doing is inking up my stamp. So I just want that little kissy border. And of course, if you want to use an ink that has greater definition, then truly the one to use is VersaFine, but it's just not as black as this ink. So I've got my kissy border. I can see where it is. I need to come over here a little bit more. So I'm just going to stamp a little bit more of that. And I will be coming back tomorrow using other stamps, making other pages, and also, you know, just completing things. So that hopefully by the time we get to Thursday, we've finished 3 pages. So I'm going to end it here today with my little kissy border, like that. I'll put it down there. And I want this sort of like quite close to the edge, and as you can see, you know, stamping that there, all of that bit under there is hidden, but you have got that bit there. And then I've got this space here that I need to utilise, and I just really love that round Once Upon a Timey stamp. And you have to excuse Bo, I think he's spotted the mail lady. So I'm just inking that stamp up, and I'm actually going to put that into that area there. And then I've got space to add little washi strips and things tomorrow. So what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to stamp and ink up little washi strips, sentiments to go into this area, and then we're going to fix this down so that it becomes an open flap for putting things or sticking a photo, leaving it open at the top so that we can stuff it all up. So that is the first part of doing a page, and I thank you so much for joining me. And as I said, if I can find the planner dies and what have you, I will link them all below. Have an absolutely awesome day. Bye.